I've got a lot to say about overpricing your home, so let's start out with the story of the price wizard. So Bob's got a house, he's lived in it for a long time. He's done a lot of improvements and he's got a lot of equity. Bob gets online and gets his estimate, and then he calls 5 realtors to interview to list his house. The first 4 show up with a market analysis that show what's sold in the neighborhood, what's actively on the market, and what hasn't sold. Armed with that information, they give Bob a reasonable list price, which is not at all what he thinks it's worth. But lucky for Bob, the next realtor to walk through the door is a price wizard. He not only agrees with Bob's price, but convinces Bob that he can get more for his house. So who does Bob list with? Of course he lists with the price wizard. And Bob has just fallen for the dubious practice of buying a listing. A few weeks later, when there have been no showings and no offers on his house, the price wizard convinces Bob to lower his price. This goes on for a couple of months until Bob's house is finally down to where it should have been to start with. But the problem is now it's stale and people want to know what's wrong with it because it's been on the market for so long and it hasn't sold. When Bob finally does get an offer, it's even lower than his current list price because people think that there's something wrong with it and nobody else wanted to buy it. If he had priced it well to begin with, it would have been under contract long before now. This might be a good time to throw in that if your house isn't selling, it may be because of one of 3 reasons. It's overpriced, the price is too high, or you want too much money for it. There's an old expression in real estate. I want to be their first love, their second wife, and their third realtor. And the reason that is because the first realtor often comes in and can't convince Bob that the price that he wants is too much. When his house has been on the market for a long time and he's hiring his third real estate agent, Bob's finally willing to listen, which is pretty frustrating for the first realtor who tried to convince him of that months ago. But let me let you in on a little secret. Even if people love your house and it's just slightly overpriced, often they won't even make an offer on it. The truth of pricing your home right, especially in the current market when we've got so little inventory, if you price your house to sell, people are going to bid up on their offers to make sure that they're the ones that get it. So you'll end up making more than you would have if you had overpriced it to begin with. But rarely does it work the other way around. Another secret is that realtors and sellers can set a list price, but ultimately it's the buyer that determines the fair market value of a house because they're only going to offer what they feel a house is worth. So make sure you price it right when it gets listed. And if you want more tips for selling your home, watch this video next and be sure and hit the subscribe button so you're notified each week as I post new content.